Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I'm your host, Michael Andre Ford in Texas. Amazing show with people from all over the world, incredible backgrounds, incredible insights, and most importantly, incredible flows or energies or foundations. And they're usually helping other people doing what they do best, following their unique life path, taking their experience, sharing their wisdom with others. Sometimes they're just a healing presence or a non-duality teacher with an incredible presence who delivers a lot of presence online. That would be today, coming to us from Europe, LISA CAIRNS, from England, generally speaking, but all over the world. She's speaking, doing different YouTube shows and stuff like that. She's got an incredible background. I'd like to thank Lisa for coming on this awfully tiny show, but with a big guest footprint, and we're going places. So please subscribe, like, share, comment while you're at it and watching this. Lisa, welcome to Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Thank you.
Can you share with us the big picture first? You had something happen in Bali in 2011 or so that was a very big shift for you in consciousness that, in a way, you could say maybe set you on this path, being you, teaching others about consciousness, non-duality, and so on. Can you share with us sort of what life was like before Bali and then a little bit after? And then can you take us to what happened in Bali, if it's okay?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I was 30 when that happened in Bali. So I had 30 years of life in this body. We don't know if there's other lives, most probably. So yeah. Yeah, I would say the first 30 years, I realized that life was suffering. So I really realized that the way in which we live life, the human experience is suffering, is a cage. Yeah, which maybe sounds really depressing to some people. In Buddhism, it's like the first realization, it's the first noble truth, to realize that life is suffering. And from realizing it was suffering, so from events happening where I saw that there wasn't an answer, you could fix things, but then they could become broken again. You couldn't get out of the cycle of birth and death. You couldn't get out of the cycle of everything constantly changing. So the first 30 years, there was the realization of that, a deep realization that life didn't work the way we as humans lived it, and that I didn't want to live the typical life of accumulation, of working to get things, to own things. Yeah, there was something deeper that I could also feel. That there'd be certain teachers that would speak, or certain things that I would read, or certain events that I would see. And I just know there was something deeper to life. So I went on this 10-year, even though we could say it happened prior to that, I kind of feel like there's previous lives. So, but consciously, this 10-year exploration of spirituality. So I consciously got into it when I was 20. There had been, if you looked at my life, there had been many spiritual things that had been happening and events that had been happening, but I met somebody at university that had started practicing Buddhism when they were 15 and just had a really open mind, and they took me to satsang and took me to lots of different spiritual events and talked to me a lot about spirituality and questioned the way in which I thought. And so then there was this 10 years of mad seeking. I was obsessive about it, nothing else mattered. This sort of finding out of truth, or going beyond what I knew or what I thought I knew. And many experiences and lots of suffering as well. And then when I was 30, after living with a teacher for 3 years, or my teacher for 3 years, he asked me to leave. And so I left. And a few weeks after leaving, it felt like my consciousness began to shake, which is a really weird thing to say. It felt like everything began to vibrate. And yeah, and it just got more and more intense. And then one day I was sitting in a coffee shop having breakfast, and my consciousness began to sort of go out of my eyes or expand. And also my sense of being, like the sense of feeling alive, started to expand. So the feeling of me being inside my body began to change and sort of merge with everyone and everything. And it was very loving and very empty simultaneously. And it fundamentally changed everything. It really, yeah, it changed. It completely, yeah, changed my experience of everyday living. And then so the last 13 years I've been teaching, and then also like integrating it more and more into my character and my humanness. Yeah. But it really changed a lot. It fundamentally gave me a sense of being at home. So prior, I didn't feel like I was at home. And then it gave me a sense of being at home. That was, I suppose, the fundamental difference.
And home, isn't there a Buddhist expression, home? It's basically heart.
Yeah.
So, wonderful. Can you talk to us about the energetic shift a little, the consciousness, the opening, openness, I mean, there's probably a million ways to say it. It only matters which way you relate it. Can you take us through that day just a little bit more? I know this is probably the #1 question you get asked all the time on every show and podcast. So this isn't meant to rehash it again. In fact, if you don't want to, let's not. But take us through a more regular occurrence of connecting, being open, sharing, vibing out. When you give your talks, can you describe the talks on YouTube that you do for folks? You have a beautiful channel, you talk regularly, you share. Can you describe that for us? And if you do want to describe Bali again in a little more detail, you're welcome to.
Yeah. I can describe Bali in a little bit more detail. Actually, I don't talk about it so often, surprisingly.
Oh, okay.
So that was what was really interesting, was that morning I was in a effort mood. I just was like, F everything. I wasn't necessarily in a bad mood, but just was in a really like, who cares? And so I'd gone and I was eating banana fritters and ice cream for breakfast, like, you know, really. And one of my main teachings of my teacher is in every given moment, do exactly what you feel like doing. That's a really deep teaching, and that can be taken in the wrong way. And the whole time I was in Bali, I was really trying to do that, you know, like to really not trying to follow spiritual knowledge or what I've learned, but really try to follow the feelings. So that morning I was in an effort mood, and so went to this like really lavish cafe and was just having banana fritters and ice cream for breakfast, which is not the sort of thing that I would normally eat for breakfast. And yeah, and a few days prior to that, I'd had this healing session with an angel healer. And they said to me, you're going to be a messenger of God. I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Like, but there was something about this session where it was like really healing. Like I'd had really severe dyslexia. I couldn't really read and write by the time I left school. And yeah, it's quite an intense experience when you, this was prior to iPhones when I left school. So it's quite an intense experience when you struggle to read and write and you're out in society. And, you know, society requires a lot of reading and writing. And my teacher was always like, you'll never teach, you haven't got the intellect for it. You haven't got the sharpness of mind. And I don't know, there was just something really healing in this person saying it and him being so convinced. And so that had happened a few days before, and that it sort of, that shakiness began after that, after he'd said it. And then that morning, I was just having this mood, and then it just slowly began to happen. At first, I didn't realize what was happening. What I thought was that everything was really beautiful, so I didn't realize that my perspective was changing. I thought it was just the cafe and bar. I mean, Bali is incredibly beautiful, or a shift in light. So I didn't really realize that I was having a spiritual experience for quite some time because I was so engrossed in the beauty of everything. So yeah, that was the build up to it. And also another part of the build up was that, you know, I'd really given up everything in my life for spirituality. And then my teacher asking me to leave, it was really, I was in a very vulnerable place. Like I really had to go deep in myself. My teacher was also my partner, so I'd also been dumped as well. So it was like I really had to go deep. And I just had such a different experience from a lot of my peers and friends. You know, I'd gone on this massive spiritual seeking and, you know, traveled all the way around the world for it. Lived out in the forest with my teacher for 4 years in the middle of nowhere. So it was like, I couldn't really call a friend and tell them what happened because I couldn't really explain what had happened. It was so deep, the living in the forest for the 4 years and the teachings and just being so immersed in that I was in, just such a vulnerable and open and prepared to give everything to God or the divine. It really, including my life, you know, if that meant death, you know, it was really like absolute commitment. So that was what happened prior to it, was these intense experiences. And yeah.
Lovely. Okay, talk to us if you could about your YouTube channel and what you're offering folks there in case they haven't already seen you. And is there a particular time of the week that's great for them to check in?
Yeah, so I do talks every Sunday, or most Sundays at 4:30 French time. And what I offer is really, it's like a meditation really, but I do it through words. But it's really just a invitation back to presence really, or back to this moment, and a reminding of who people are. So it's not, even though it's very wordy what I'm doing, it's not meant to be wordy. It's more a call to our own freedom.
Can we talk about non-duality? And just to throw myself under the bus, I remember having a little diary, a beautiful orange notebook that I found myself writing quotes in from whatever I was looking at. It could have been a New York Times article back in the day. Somehow it was either spiritual, cultural, philosophical. So I'm writing quotes in 1992. I'm probably 23. Just started a job on Wall Street, and why I'm doing this, I didn't call it a diary. I just wrote something down with a quote from Katrapa Siddha. If I said the name right, I'll read the quote actually in just about a second. But the expression non-duality was in there, and it took me 18 years sitting in an Austin, Texas Acura dealership, getting my car fixed. I'm sitting on a curb outside the place, watching leaves swirl with Thich Nhat Hanh's Pieces Every Step in my hand, a little teeny short book. There are no incomplete sentences except for this one sentence that ends in non-duality, and then there's an incomplete sentence, not two. So I waited all those years to figure out an actual definition because I hadn't been smart enough to grab a dictionary, or I don't think the internet was as strong in the 90s. So the bottom line is there was a little instruction going on. I think everything's your instruction. You just have to pay attention. I think I was pretty oblivious for a very long time, still am. But what I wanted to say is here's the quote on that. And could you talk to us about non-duality in just a second? And any way that you want to approach it. There's plenty of people who are watching you who already aced the concept a long time ago, but there's others who would love to have a non-duality teacher like yourself explain it. But here's Siddha. Of course, I said the names backwards. I get all the lingo wrong. Siddha Katrapa said, I'm sure, a very long time ago, whatever the yogin sees is his instruction, and realization that all he sees is unborn. That is the most excellent guru. Innocence is the way to realize non-duality, for here the effects of virtue and vice are one. And I love that quote, even if I couldn't understand it for a very long time. And I was smart enough to at least write it down and let it percolate for a long time. Can you share with us what allowing all openness is, consciousness, being in the heart, being a healthy, loving presence is? What's non-duality?
So I think everybody's definition of it's going to be slightly different, like the way they speak about it. Your quote was beautiful. So the way I speak about non-duality is maybe more from a Buddhist perspective and more Advaita Vedanta, which is the essence of it is that form is formlessness and formlessness is form. So like if you've never been into non-duality before, that's like, what? When I first heard that in Buddhism, like it really touched my heart, but I really had no clue what that meant. Form is formlessness. Form is formlessness. And formlessness is form. So in non-duality, it's normally taught through the teaching of consciousness, which is the recognition of not the personal consciousness, but a big consciousness that's watching the personal consciousness. So there is a witness that is always here in every experience, and it never leaves. So the forms change, the people, the scenery, the lights, the colors, the emotions, the thoughts, everything changes except this initial witness. Without the initial witness, nothing would be experienced. There has to be this initial witness. So, and when you begin to go into what this witness is, you begin to find that your essence, so that which is actually witnessing what is, or witnessing this experience, is nowhere. It's not originating from the body, and it's also everywhere. So it's not originating from a particular place, and it's all places. So if you now like ask yourself, not you, but the audience, you can also ask yourself if you feel to, but like, where does my consciousness start and stop? Is Lisa inside consciousness or outside consciousness? Is the room inside consciousness or outside consciousness? Most people have an idea that their consciousness in some way stops here, and then there is what? Another consciousness. But that's an impossibility when we look at the experience. Like, our consciousness cannot be found, it cannot be grasped. It's not here and it's not there, but yet everything is. everything is known. And so from the more Advaita perspective, the consciousness is taught, and there'll be these awakenings and these recognitions. And then eventually the consciousness is seen as a bridge between nothing and everything, the divine, the mystery, the unknown, and then the apparent known. And teachers teach it in different ways, like it's it kind of so Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was the teacher of my teacher's teacher. So Nisargadatta Maharaj, he would say that to know I'm nothing is wisdom, to know I'm everything is love, and in between my life unfolds. And it's kind of these two coming together, the nothing and the everything. And to truly unconditionally love, there has to be a knowing of no thing, that who you are is mystery, is not a thing found in this world, is God, is this something we cannot put into words, and then to know it's everything. So those both have to come together, and that is the unconditioned love of what we are and what we could call home, is when these both come together. So initially, even in Buddhism, they teach the consciousness teaching, and I love the consciousness teaching, but it's really coming back to this being in the precipice between nothing and everything, and the consciousness is kind of used as a bridge. A friend of mine said to me, which I really loved this, he said that like angels are their body is like the consciousness, and then they have one wing in the nothingness and then one wing in the everything. Like, so one wing in God and then one wing in the manifestation. And I thought that was really beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Yeah, so that's what I share and talk about, but I'm really not attached to words. Like, I change the way I speak a lot, but it's always got the same essence to it, the nothing and the everything part, and coming back to this presence that's here in everybody and everything.
And words are a little bit like that expression that everyone's been using. I mean, Eckhart Tolle used it in either a speech or his book, in the finger that points at the moon is not the moon, but the words that we're using, it can never quite grasp what we're trying to grasp. I'll say it a different way. Words are gloves that we put on our energy, that we're either hugging or slapping with. Either we're down here, got it right. And down here and up here is what I'd like to talk about next, if it's okay, or have you talk about next. The different flows. We're always going to be doing up here and we're always going to be doing down here. The more we can maybe rest at home, the heart, and I'll take a stab at it. Every philosophy, culture, practice, organization, community, what am I missing? Religion and so on, spirituality, woo, 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 has descriptors for up here. Thinking, time, limits, awareness, unconditional love, unlove, no limits, timelessness, consciousness, awareness, attention. You can keep going. Can you talk to us about distinguishing between the two? Would you say you still catch yourself every Wednesday afternoon and you're like, whoa, Lisa, I'm thinking too much, back to my peaceful ways? How do you describe remembering to remember, if you can remember, when you remember to remember, because we forget all the time as humans, to be here at least 7% more daily?
Yeah. So I just go to the first bit of the question first. So Ramesh Balsekar, he was my teacher, but Roger was my main teacher. So Ramesh Balsekar, he used to describe it like this, and I thought it was so beautiful. So he would say that the image of like Jesus on the cross is, so you've got the vertical line, and then you've got the horizontal line, and then you have Jesus's heart where both of the lines meet. So his heart is positioned in between this horizontal line and the vertical line. And when we're identified in thought, we're in this horizontal line of thinking, this timeline of past, future, what I'm going to do, what I don't want to happen. And then we have these experiences and we just become the vertical, we just become the holy, the God. But eventually what happens is they both come back together, and then you live from a place of like where Jesus's heart was, where the vertical line and the horizontal line meet. So this is what non-duality would teach too, is it's to live well as a human is to have God, have the divine in every action, but without ignoring the horizontal timeline that we have as well. And the image of Jesus on the cross is, it's like he dies to himself. In order for that to happen, he has to die to himself, which I find is really beautiful. So it's like he gives everything up for God, like he gives everything up for the divine. And then in that, there becomes living from what we could call the heart of existence. So what Nisargadatta says as to know I am nothing is wisdom, and then to know I'm everything is love, and in between my life unfolds. So that's from the perspective of non-duality. From the perspective of me, yes, sometimes there is being caught up in stories in the horizontal line. But I would say that since that shift happened in Bali, there is this fundamental resting that just changed. So even when there's the caught upness, there's also a deep knowing of a peace as well. And I see that as like something that could expand, and most probably does expand for infinity, like my character changing and expanding to live its highest and best self in a way. Like the more it aligns with God or the divine. Yeah.
I have a couple quotes for you.
Yes.
Some are going to be randomly selected. So it could be Eckhart Tolle, it could be Buddha, it could be classic quotes, it could be from an angel, who knows? But the point is, anything that comes out of it, you have a million ways that you can go, because it's sort of infinite and where you could take us. So here's a few just to see what comes up. And I don't know who said this one. There are no ordinary moments. Every task, interaction, and decision is infused with sacred potential, waiting to be revealed. And then two more. I'm randomly picking them. I've got a cheat sheet here of a bunch of pages. Okay. This is from Star Wars. Luke, you are going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view. Obi-Wan said that to Luke Skywalker. And finally, Eckhart Tolle. Feel yourself being an opening through which energy flows from the unmanifested source of all life through you for the benefit of all. And
Beautiful.
Yeah, any of those spark another direction you can take us.
Yeah, I like what Eckhart Tolle, I mean, I liked all of them, but I like what Eckhart Tolle says. I'm an Eckhart Tolle fan. He's a really beautiful person or being. So, and yeah, I was obsessed with him in my early 20s as well. Like when The Power of Now came out, I obsessively listened to it. And then The New Earth as well. Actually, he was what led me from Buddhism to non-duality. So I feel that what happens, and this is also what would be taught in non-duality as well, is that the more that you align, like the cross, like so the more that you come to the heart of being, where the divine, the unmanifest, and the manifest meet, then the more that the expression of the person becomes selfless. And in it becoming selfless, then it's naturally going to be for everything. So it's actually naturally going to be for love, everything that it does. So the more that you investigate the unmanifested and what that is in every experience, and the more that that is recognized and then integrated into the human story, the more that it will naturally be for the greater good, if we call it. Even though that's quite a big thing, the greater good, but it's naturally going to be in line with love rather than suffering.
Beautiful. Okay, 3 more quotes, this time probably from Native American chiefs. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, I can pronounce it correctly now, not Rinpoche, or an angel or something. But here's some more quotes. And then I want to get back to coffee shop experience. When you walk into a coffee shop, you're a very feeling and sensitive person. How does it go down for you? Do you have to do more barriers? If I can remember to get to the coffee shop later, 3 more quotes for you and a quick observation. For anybody having difficulty falling asleep at night, you can touch Eckhart Tolle's books, guaranteed a paragraph or 2 in, you're out. You don't put up resistance to reading the book because it's pure consciousness and flows. I love the New Earth, but if the brain has to make a decision between you sleeping like a baby and learning or expanding or connecting, whatever the expression is, you're out like a light. So bye-bye insomnia. Hello, good sleep, but you're not gonna be able to read the book. It's gonna be this, you get blocked a little. And the audio books, audio CDs, if you're in a car and you hear his voice, oh my God, his presence. He could do stand-up comedy if you could get him a whiskey and a cigar. That little laugh of his, oh, he probably could turn into the best comedian of all time, because one application of heart in one direction is the same as another, whether you're on the pitch with a soccer, football, or everything you do is the same awareness, attention. Back to the quotes though. Remain in love, positivity, and acceptance for all. 3 Native American chiefs, Dull Knife, Red Shirt, and Geronimo. Oh, Chogyam Trungpa, in 2014, he said this even though he passed in 87. A few of his students have met him or reunited with him on the other side. Taking one breath is like taking one step. Both bring peace and harmony. And I actually want to do one more quote from him that was around the same time. It's deep. Probably another one of those I have to wait 16 years on. But the way to experience nowness is to realize that this very moment, this very point in life is always the occasion. Can we have you, Lisa, take us a little more in that direction?
Nowness is always the occasion. So in Buddhism, the first teaching that I learned when I studied Buddhism was that the problem with human suffering was craving. So craving and avoiding. So craving things and then avoiding things. And this craving always relied on an imagination of you getting something. And then the belief that once you get that thing, you'll finally be able to relax. You'll finally be able to surrender. So it's actually not the thing that you're looking for, but it's actually the relaxation when you get the thing. You get it, like you get the car and then it's like, ah. But the mind doesn't tell you that. The mind is like, no, it's the car, it's the object. And so most humans, I would surmise, in our society live in this mentality, which really heightens the thought process. There's never a moment where they're here, watching the trees blow in the wind. They're always somewhere else, thinking about something else, thinking about getting something else. And there's always this agitation that here isn't quite enough. But I would say that they most probably don't have a conscious realization of that. That's like an unconscious thing that's happening. And it comes from agitation. And we can kind of see the ripple effects of that in our society. Our society is like, go, go, go. It's like 100 miles an hour and everyone has to have everything. And if you don't, you're a failure. You've got to have perfect homes, perfect kids, perfect jobs, perfect careers. It's very intense. So in Buddhism, there is a big pointing out of looking at this craving and looking at this seeking and what it is that you're seeking for. And then asking, is there something in the experience which isn't seeking? Is there something in the experience which is already at peace? That's not in discontentment, that's not longing for something else. If we went more to non-duality, it would be like asking, who is the experiencer of this? Like, and is the experiencer suffering? Is the experiencer seeking? Is the experiencer craving? And this realization, waking up to that and realizing that there is something always at peace in every experience, is, I feel like, the foundation of the spiritual change. Like, it's a huge awakening. Even if it's just a brief glimpse, and maybe all people have this at moments, but then their mind attaches it to something, that I can be at peace and not have what I want, not have the perfect life, have difficult scenarios. But then their mind, comes up with a reason, it's because of this or because of that. But it's this recognition, is there something at peace in the experience now?
There's a beautiful movie. It's a sports movie. You'd never know it's either spiritual, philosophical, or just exploring maybe non-duality. The book is Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Dan Millman. And Peaceful Warrior, the movie, is beautiful. Dan may be coming on the show. I get to ask in November. I've asked him a few times and I'm getting closer. So touch wood if you ever get to watch this. Hi, Dan. But the point of this is, it's a movie, by the way, that I've watched 50 times. And to show how slow I am on the uptake, every time I watch the film, something new jumps out of it. I think it's an incredible vehicle. The book has more details and more fun in it. But there's a moment where the gymnast, it's a gymnastics movie and based on Dan's real life story. But there's a moment Dan says, when I win the gold or I win this, I'll be happy, and talks about his dad or something like that. And by the end of the movie, and I'm not ruining the ending for anyone, it's the other gymnast. Dan's more arrived, his fruit's ripe, he's here, he's found home, at least for a little while. And the gymnast next to him says verbatim what he had said earlier at the beginning of his journey. When I win the gold, I'll show everyone, I'll be someone, and I'll be able to relax and be happy. And that brought me to just two more quick things. From earlier, you were talking about, and now I can't remember the words anymore, but perfection is imperfection, imperfection is perfection, could be parallel to what you said like 2 conversations ago. And then going on vacation. I think we all think that we have to, if you're in a corporate setting or the rat race is up here, it's not actually the big banks, corporations, or the externals. It's just getting out of thinking a little more. We think we have to go on vacation, metaphorically speaking, to be in Thailand on the beach for 3 weeks, to slow down and relax, that once a year, once every 5 years, if we can afford a vacation. My point is, the vacation is each and every moment. Yeah. You can remember to remember, if you remember to remember, when you remember. With that, can you talk to us? How has your evolution, how have you come to appreciate how life works in the different evolutions or revolutions that have been LISA CAIRNS? Because weren't you a playwright once? Also, you've had different sort of modalities of existence, teacher, like a physical teacher in society. You've been studying a lot as well. And then there's, the pre-Bali you, and now everything is growth and expansion. Can you talk to us just about how even your perception of everything has been shifting, I'm sure, in the last 5 to 10 years? Isn't it continual growth?
Yeah, totally. When I was in India one time, this sadhu like randomly came up to me and was like, knowledge is infinite. And it's the same with everything. Everything is infinite. So our ability to expand as human beings is infinite. So yeah. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to put that change into words, isn't it? Of what's happened over the last 13 years. It's just gone deeper and deeper in any holding places or seeking patterns. or anything remaining in this body just becomes exposed either through events in life or through teaching. Like it just, there's nowhere to hide. And yeah, so I don't even know where to start with it. It changes. I would say like the fundamental realizations are the same, like the shifts and the fundamental like non-duality. But I don't even know which strand to start with. Like I never thought I would be a teacher of non-duality, and that in itself has been a lesson, you know, to meet people in their suffering, to work out how to not absorb their energy, like something you were speaking about, to work out how to live in a society that mode is seeking. You know, our society is set up in a very different way to the way truth is. To be a female teacher that talks about this, to navigate the internet and boundaries on the internet. You know, there's lots of different things that have been realized. But the commitment and the realization and the knowing of love is the same. You know, the non-duality cannot change. It's the same. So yeah, we could pick any, I don't know what topic you would want of what has changed or expanded.
How about this?
Like I've also had to learn so much about human psychology, because when you're working with people, like understanding, you know, why is this person coming with this, and what would be the best thing to advise? You know, I recommend people on a lot of the time if they've got, you know, psychological or physical issues. Like but I just stick with the non-duality part. And so I recommend people on to healers or to, and so understanding what they're telling me, understanding, you know, what the issues are.
If I was to give a metaphor, standing on a rock that's just a few feet into the ocean, it's a nice rock though, it's home, and the waves are coming in, and most of the time you're able to stand on your rock. It's your unique life path, perhaps. I know we usually say it's a path, so you have to take steps, but maybe we'll just call it staying still. But waves do come along and knock you off your rock, and all you have to do is get back on and you're okay. Like your journey unfolds more. Can you talk to us about maybe one time you did get knocked off the rock and how you just took a little while to remember to get back on? It could have been from 7 years ago. I'm sure there's got to be something that you can share.
Or many. I mean, I think this is what life is. So I also write books as well, which is, people always ask, I'm not got, yeah. When I left school, I couldn't really read and write, and then I ended up doing that. And when you learn to write, or you're a storyteller, like one of the main teachings of how to structure it is about obstacles. You know, what obstacles the character meets, and what interests us as the audience is how they get knocked over, and then how they get back up again. So, and what process that is, you know, like, and that's what we're fascinated by in films and books, in anything, is how people stand back up again, because life is always obstacles. You know, whatever's born will be destroyed. You know, will, like, whatever's created will eventually go back into and change into something else. So for me personally, something that I fell off. think one of the biggest ones has been how to find boundaries. So I'd say that my character can sometimes have a bit of a rescuer or caregiver character, and how to find boundaries, you know, when people are suffering. And so that's not like a specific event, but it's something that I have to keep coming back to, is how to not give myself away in order to alleviate somebody else's suffering. So what I mean by give myself away is like give away all my energy to, and that's happened many times. And so that's been many falling over, and, you know, sometimes in the same way, like it presents itself in the same way, and then I do the same thing. You know, it's a very deep karma, I think, that I have, that that might not even get resolved in this lifetime. And so there's something I'm still working on. And yeah, there's been lots of realizations about it, about myself and what I participate in the situation. And then also realizations of how to put up better boundaries as well. Yeah.
So where you put your focus is where you put your focus, or where you allow yourself to go is where you allow yourself to go. Let's talk coffee shop and go back to boundaries for 1 second. If you were bebopping along, you're listening to music, you're walking your dog, you're like, yeah, let's just randomly get a cup of coffee or tea, and you head into the shop. Are you so energetic that you're picking up on people's flows? Do you set boundaries when you go through a bunch of folks, or you've got a conference or a speaking engagement? How do you mind sharing how you approach the concept of, there's a gajillion energies going on, even through the internet or screens? And maybe later we'll each put our hand up and feel the flow, but only our highest intent, none of the drama, my situation is, my problem is stuff, just love and above. But how do you navigate that? Is there a specific way you set your intent, or ask the universe or Buddha or anybody or your higher self? How do you even approach this whole topic from I'm setting down amazing boundaries and I'm going to stay intact. Person will still get what they need, I trust, for the greater benefit of all, sort of thing?
Yeah. So the best way that I've found currently for boundaries, so when I walk into anywhere, there can be a real strong sensitivity to the energies that are around. So my best resolution for that is I try to remember to put my attention into my heart area, and keep the attention there. So not allow my attention to flow into other people or to go out into the room.
I'm going to read a passage. This is a book called Listening to Angels. I saw balls of light as I typed back in 2014. If anyone think that I wrote this, thank you. Greatest compliment ever. But the most complex expressions in the book are compassion, unconditional love. I'm going to just read about 40 seconds, but if I could get your reaction in whatever direction you're not instigated, you're pushed or pulled or brought your attention to. So here it goes. Happiness is obtained in the absence of ego. Ego is afraid to be vulnerable, to let go, and to be in the unknown. Again, there's nothing to lose and nothing to gain. Move past seeing the negative. Compassion can be taught through one's actions. How? Slowing down would do a world of wonder for most people. Doing it consistently is where the problems and opportunities lie, so stay present. Start right now. Letting go means less thinking. Do not get lost in perceived tasks, roles, ego, etc. Being in the moment, in quotes, is to do compassion for all. For individuals, an egoless path would be great, but it's just not realistic. Allow ego to serve as a reminder when it pops up. A reminder for what? You decide. How about a reminder to breathe? How about a reminder to enjoy each moment as it comes? Believe that all moments can be the same. Whether it's a moment at work or a moment looking at nature, all moments are the same and peaceful. Only thinking something can interfere with this. Likewise, there are not separate paths for mankind or separate worlds for individuals. One is one. Through awareness and owning the consequences of one's thoughts and actions, a person can begin to see how all of life is truly interconnected in one. Faith in all can lead to a change in mankind. This is the path for all of man. This is about man bringing peace and joy to all. And last two bits here. This is about your personal growth in your life and finding the next stage in your soul's development, as well as the continued evolution of mankind. The greatest gift is allowing all is growth and change. This is frightening for some. There's nothing to do here. Slow down the doing. Instead, breathe, smile, and relax, appreciate all. I thought of that because you said slow down the doing when we were talking about society earlier. Where can you take us with all that?
Well, an interesting contemplation is the meaning of life. You know, what is this all about? So what are we all seeking for, or what are we all running towards? Like, what is the meaning? Like, what is the purpose?
Love more.
So,
yeah.
sorry?
Love more, allow more, show love always. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's a very individual thing from non-duality perspective, and from a Buddhist perspective, it would be that the answer would be that there is no meaning in anything.
Cool.
And realizing that life is inherently without meaning, that meaning is a human projection, that this is a freedom to realize that, you know, that you don't have to be something. You don't have to live up to this whole imagination or story that you've got. You don't have to perform to get to something. You know, meaning is something that we as humans have made up in our language. And then we've associated it with our sense of self and put so much pressure on these lives of what we have to be. So then meaning becomes something, if you step out of the words and you step out of what we think meaning is, then meaning can become a whole different thing that's an energetical expression rather than an idea which we're trying to obtain.
I'm very literal, so a lot of times that's why it takes 10 years to appreciate the most simple of concepts. But it's not completely that life is without meaning. People shouldn't necessarily take it that way. It's just, how do I say this? I'll do Ben Stiller, Heartbreak Kid, if I got it right, that Ocean Beach film in Mexico. But love, 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 love. There's tons of love, higher vibrational forms of being. And the second you slow down out of thinking, you can experience greater flows. I hope I said that correctly. Can you touch upon how everything is teeming and alive with consciousness, even at my table or outside, and that we're all connected, but that this is about connecting to all there is, breathing more, loving more, smiling more, laughter is hope and joy to others?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so this is the when meaning becomes more of an energetical expression rather than an intellectual concept of I have to have meaning because I need to be something for others and I need to get something. Whereas when that concept begins to loosen and we begin to come back to our true nature, then everything is love. And if we are going to put meaning on something, then that is the meaning, is to remember that love of what we are, and then to be the vehicle for that love. But so much of the human attachment is, I've got to have meaning because I've got to be an important person, and I've got to be someone for other people. I have to mean something. My existence has to mean something for me. Whereas true love isn't about us as individuals. It's about the expression of life. It's like, it's the expression of what is, of life, of something beyond the person or the person.
I love being a show host because I got to juggle like 6 things at once. I have stuff running through the brain. I've got stuff going through the heart. So last three quotes, and then we'll let you take us wherever you want for a final bit of observation. And maybe we'll blow sage before we do three quotes. This is a staple of the show. I've only forgotten, I think, twice now out of 90 shows recorded. We are switching as a public service announcement to at least 2 shows a week, June 1st, although we're already booked out to February of 2025. And maybe we're going to March or April. So if we can go to 3 shows a week, maybe that could bring that back. So the poor guests next year are actually in this year. Either way, this hopefully will boost our audience. We've dropped to ridiculously low views, but I still believe it's an incredible show for folks. We've got incredible guests coming on. To that end, could you please hit the subscribe button, share this with someone. They're not going to see it if you don't share it. And I'm still missing whatever you found super fun about what Lisa has related to you. Could you please comment on, even just say, I love Lisa. Let's try a new tact here. I love Lisa. Could we have 15 to 45? I love her glow, her sparkle as she connects to her higher self or soul. She lets go really well and is phenomenal, literally, figuratively, metaphorically. So some applause at least. Put something below the video and hit some buttons. I'm going to light some sage, staple of the show. If there are no limits in life, maybe there are really no limits. Lisa teaches no limits. And to remember what we've all forgotten, she'll have to fill in the rest later. I've already forgotten. But I'm going to light some sage. You can smell it anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's 2028 and you're in Australia or Finland. Some people start tasting it on their mouth. This is smelling without smelling, the Zen thing. I only have one rule or bit of structure. It's set your intent. Ask the universe to make it nice. Ask angels to get you out of your head into your heart to actually smell some sage smoke. And then why settle for linear? Why just get sage when you can get lavender, wisteria, honeysuckle, that exotic bird of paradise plant that you only had that one year you were in Asia? And then Lisa, in Europe, are you catching any sage smoke?
I just got sandalwood smell.
Yes. Okay. Yay. And I almost panicked with Lorna Byrne, the Irish angel mystic, because she said on the show on air, and I was so scared to do anything else with her. I only blew sage. I asked her if she smelled sage. She said no. Then she's like, thank God she let me off the hook, though. She's like, I smell daisies and roses in Ireland. And I was like, I was still new to the show. And, you know, you can panic as a show host. So, okay. Any flowers coming in? Because sandalwood doesn't count as flowers. Did you get anything floral? You can ask for it, by the way. If anybody at home, if you need something to go
No, I
crazy.
just got sandalwood.
Okay, perfect.
I love sandalwood.
Bravo. And I'll do 3 more quotes. And can I put up one photo of an angel? Is that okay? We'll skip Buddha, or we'll do Buddha after the show. But with your permission, just at least put your hand up and feel a vibe. If you want to feel a vibe, you might get floral smell instead in the air. And then we're all done with almost all the experiential stuff on the show. Feel what you can feel. Don't judge for folks out there. Maybe she could give you a reminder, just a couple words pop in on another topic that we could touch upon. And this is an angel named Joy, is the emotion joy ambassador communicator that makes it easy for people to pop out of their mind into their heart to receive all answers, hugs, and more. We've done a lot of other steps on a lot of other shows, so check those out if you're curious. And Lisa, anything from Joy, a feeling, a vibe, a warmth? I'll use 2 hands to hold it steady. And at home, you can put your hand out and feel a vibe, like a fireplace, but sparkle instead. Try too hard, it goes to your toes. You can ask for a floral smell. You can close your eyes and hear beach wave action if your favorite beach. Let the universe bring you whatever is rockstar groovy fun. Lisa, did you get anything, a topic for us, a vibe, a remote feeling? It's okay if you didn't. What'd you get?
To very present and still.
Good.
That's
Okay.
beautiful.
So beautiful. Last three quotes. Love more and allow more. You can be happy now in this very moment without a single reason. Angel said that. I'm actually not going to read two more quotes. I'd love to stop with that one because I always like to call it the hand grenade. I know that's not a very peaceful expression, but love more, allow more. You can be happy now in this very moment for no reason whatsoever. Doesn't that fly in the face of all reality at a societal level, all thinking, all structure? But what about my situation is, my drama is, you don't understand my financial situation. My cousin Vinny is asking me for money every day, the divorce, the health crisis, the everything else. How is it possible that we can be, I got to cheat and read it again. Love more and allow more. You can be happy now in this very moment without a single reason. Doesn't that statement defy all human logos, logic, rationale, and the intellect? And doesn't it defy our entire life story? So what do we do with this massive hand grenade?
Enjoy.
Exactly. I love it. Good answer. Good answer. Yes. It's the one thing. Is it Curly from City Slickers? Is really, really old 1980s. Billy Crystal, amazing. These guys from a big city need a break, and they all go together from their workplace to go out west, and they're on a dude ranch maybe. And Jack Palance, I think, is the dude ranch hand. I don't know the lingo. The guy who can do one-handed push-ups and stuff. But he says the secret of life is this, that one thing. And the whole time during the movie, they're cheating. They're like, what's the secret of life? What's this mean? And in the end, I think we all have to figure out our own pathway. I got it. And I'm borrowing. Nothing that I say is original. This is from Angels. But it's like the classic treasure hunt. But instead of an external search to find the X is here. You're the treasure. All right, Lisa, talk to us about how we're the treasure here. This is you wrapping it up on Angels, Positivity, and Love. All your details, your show, website, other stuff will be below the video. If people could please check it out and subscribe, at her end, because she has just amazing amazingness for her content on her show. Can you talk to us about the treasure that awaits, that's constant, if you just want to let go?
Well, yes. So
that was a good answer.
So if we really understand that form is formlessness and the formless is form, then it means that every single atom, every single particle of us, and everything we ever touch and everything we ever do is the divine looking at us, the divine experiencing through us. What could be better?
Okay, yeah, what could be better? But how do you have any tips that you give, like as a person steps into a shower, make it the sacred shower, not quite out of Peaceful Warrior where he has a moment of samadhi, satori, and each drop became, like a symphony. But isn't it, it's just right here in front of us like this, except it's here, except it's not even this or this. It's not is it duality? So it's not the duality, it's the non-duality. Yeah, I've lost it on the words. But the point is, like, it could be a moment, if you could just slow down as you're sipping your tea, you get 10 times the amount of tea. I don't mean volume, I mean taste. Yeah, sorry, this is going to look horrible, but whatever. My Coke tastes twice as good if I just slow down a little more. It's sensing. It's all your senses. It's your existence. It's your breathing. It's your being. Can you also dance us through that as a last
Yeah.
hurrah?
Yeah. So the way that I was taught was in Advaita was, so Nisargadatta Maharaj, he would have recommended putting the attention in your initial feeling of I am. So yeah, your feeling of I am prior to I am body, I am form, I am idea. So your initial feeling of existence, and keep returning your attention back to your feeling of existence. And then Ramana Maharshi, who's another non-duality teacher, he would have suggested keeping in mind the question, who am I? So so when you have feelings or thoughts or ideas, or you feel like things are not going your way is to keep asking yourself, who am I? Who is having a feeling? Who is experiencing life? Whose life is bad or good or right or wrong? So those are two different things that can be done. But everybody's path, like you said, is completely unique to them. And so there could be awakening and no asking who I am, or no putting the attention in I am. It's so unique to everybody. To another person, it could be following the breath, or another person, it could be through devotion. Another teacher, I've forgotten her name, she sings the bells, or she plays the bells, an Indian lady, and that her path was to completely surround herself with God. I thought this was so beautiful. So with the divine, so in the ways that she dresses, in the music that she sang, in the people that she spoke with, so that everything is constantly reflecting back to her image or her feeling of the divine. So music that reminds her of the divine, images that remind her of the divine, people. And I think she said, like, bringing God close in every situation, or bringing the divine close in every situation. So everybody's path is so unique, and you've got to find what resonates for you. For me, it was more the Buddhism and the no self and the non-duality. But for others, it could be through absolute devotion, through loving everything.
Getting out of your own way, getting out of your head into your heart, getting out of your own way was something that popped up more towards the beginning. And then so beautiful with the reminders. Find reminders in everything. Whether it's God, consciousness, love, whatever the lingo is, or the words that you have to use. That's beautiful. Last act, if you wish, I'd love to put my hand up, and it's only my highest intent, love and above. I was about to say from the neck up, that's the opposite. If we need it'd be the heart down here, more consciousness. And so you're in Europe, over the Atlantic. I put my hand up, you put your hand up, but only your highest intent. And we connect. If you don't mind, it'll at least be some sparkle or warmth. Is that okay to do this? Okay.
Yeah.
So just, my name is Michael Andre Ford, and we've got LISA CAIRNS in over the Atlantic. Feel what you can feel. Don't judge. At home, if you want to do this as well, only your highest intent. We've got barriers and boundaries. So 2 years from now, Lisa's not picking up your energy. We don't want to ripple in a wrong way here. And if we want just a little rainbow light from the universe coming in, separate whoosh. And that was it. Lisa, what are you feeling, whether it's on your hand, your person, your consciousness body, your light body, whatever it's called? What'd you get?
On my hand, I feel just tingling and energy. But in my heart, I feel love.
Oh, good. And it wasn't like a medical condition on set and we got to rush you to the hospital. It was legit, just a little bit of consciousness or love or fun or sparkle coming in. Yay. I love it. Very last thing, is there anything people should be on the lookout for this fall, next year? More books, more conferences in the fall of 2024 or 2025? Anything? Should they just be checking your website for those events, those retreats, those speaking engagements?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, LISA CAIRNS, thank you very much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. Very beautiful how you speak and how you are doing self-love for not just your own benefit, even though it is that, and for just the act of self-love, but I think others are enjoying it very much. I don't know how to use my words here, but I'm trying to just say you do a lot for folks just by following your path. So I love it. Thank you for being a guest on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's lovely speaking with you.